Hello everyone, Michael here from Runestorm, and I thought I would try something a little bit different. That's why you see me in this animated version. But I come here to tell you that I am going to be celebrating the new season of Game of Thrones, Season 8, with some Song of Ice and Fire miniatures, and I'm going to be doing this over the whole time Game of Thrones is going to be playing, so over the whole course of the 6 weeks. But I will not be saying anything about spoilers or anything just about the show. It'll be just about showing the miniatures. So with that, I hope you enjoy. So let's get on with the video. Okay, so we'll be starting off the Game of Thrones series with Greywind here, which I've just primed up to get ready to place the first layer of paint on. Really cool. Greywind is Robb Stark's Direwolf. So we're going to start off with some matte white, and we're basically just going to cover over the whole lot of Greywind here. But I'm not going to worry too much about placing it high on the top, because what we're going to do is we're going to come over with some grey on the top to give it sort of a different transition of hair colour like in real wolves. So concentrating it mainly on the bottom here. I'm also trying to keep it quite thick because I want to have a really sort of white underbelly. I've sort of used some of the inspiration from the actual Greywind, just trying to see if I can get it as close as I can to how actual wolf patterns look. But once it's done, you see it like that, how we have it here, and I'm going to go over with ash grey, and the bits that I haven't done on the top is now where I'm going to be concentrating most of it, and I'm going to be putting on a little pattern like actual wolves have. I've just looked up some references online to try and get an idea of how I want to have this. So I'm just being reasonably rough with the pattern. I want it sort of look sort of natural as much as I can anyway. Keeping it, not too concentrated all over. Like I'm not going over the whole thing here. I'm sort of just keeping it on the top, keeping it like it's sort of got like a grey coat over top of its fur. Like I say again, I've got references here that I'm trying to emulate of actual wolves, so I can get it looking sort of realistic, as well as using some pictures from the show of the actual Greywind. So now you can see how I've placed it all on top, sort of like it's got a grey coat, and now I'm just going to use that exact same ash grey to just cover the scenery that it's on, sort of the little rock outcropping that Greywind's standing on. Just covering it all up, being pretty messy with it, but being delicate around the areas where the paws are, so I don't have to go back and paint them over with the white. I'm not deciding on a basing theme yet. I'm just going to be painting up this rock outcropping because I'm not sure what I want to base the whole army in, and I think I want to save that for another video. So once that's all done, we're going to move on here with our castle grey, and I'm going to be going over top of what we've done with the ash grey, but this time even smaller again, doing another similar sort of pattern with the fur on top to give it multiple layers of the grey, but I'll be covering a lot more this time in the castle grey, basically going right up to where all our ash grey underneath is gone. So there's a little bit of transition, so it'll look like sort of once we give it a wash and stuff over top, it'll be more of a transition rather than three separate layers of colour. So it's just to help blend it in a bit more. So I'm just going over now, trying to hit most of those spots, keeping it relatively clean and how I want it for the final sort of look. Okay, so once we have all that done, we're going to come in here with mummy robes, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a dry brushing on the rocks to bring out those details so we can seal the edge and hit those highlighted areas. So don't forget, when you're dry brushing, you want to fill up your brush with paint and then grab a paper towel and brush most of it off so you've got just a bunch of pigment left on your bristles of your paint, and you just quick strokes all over the places that we want to dry brush. So it's really going to start bringing out all the detail in our rocks now, making it look a lot more realistic than having it all the one flat grey. So I'm just going around here being careful, picking out the spots that I want to have as sort of highlights where the light would naturally hit. Now we're going to go over that again with a matte white. So just quick stripes over top of where we just did with our mummy robes, just giving it an even higher highlight, giving a bit more of a transition in between the two areas. It just makes it look a lot more realistic in the end. Okay, now that we've done that, we're going to come in here with Warlock Purple, and we're going to be painting in Greywind's tongue. Now this here, I recommend you use a really small detail brush because his tongue is quite small. So just small, and getting a little bit of paint on, wiping as much of it off the can, just keeping a little bit on the tip, and I'm just more placing the paintbrush down and moving it around rather than actually painting on, because I don't want to hit the roof of the mouth. So it's quite a delicate process, but then once that's done and dry, it looks really nice. So we can see here, and now I'm going to be going with matte black, and I'm going to be painting in Greywind's eyes. So again, this is going to be another super delicate process. So little bit of paint on the brush, getting a super thin fine tip, and he has an actual like eye socket on there that I'm trying to paint over very carefully, and I'm just again placing it on there and more moving it around and trying to do big broad brush strokes over it. I find it for myself with painting in detail, it helps out a lot to more move it around than paint it on, and then I can go over again. Although I'm still not perfect, as you can see, I catch it with the side of my brush, but that's okay. I'll show you me fixing that up as well, so you can see how I fix my mistakes. And it's just simple as going back over with our white, our mummy robes that we use on our matte white, sorry, that we use on our base layer, and touching it back up, just dabbing it on. I'm not going to wipe it on because that black will really mix in, and it's only covering a small spot, so I'm just dabbing it on there nice and carefully. And now for the last little touch for his face, I'm just dabbing some of the matte black onto his nose to really bring that out. Okay, now I've done that, we're going to come in here with our nuln oil, which is basically our liquid magic for blending all this stuff in together. And we're going to go over the whole lot of Greywind here. I'm just going to go over everything. Even the really white stuff, it's going to give a lot of definition into all that fur that he has on him and bring out some of those areas. So I'm being pretty broad with it, but I'm also making sure that it's not going to be pulling up in any spots, because I don't want huge black spots on his underbelly and that where he's all super white. So just being careful. The best method I've found to do this is to just drop your miniature, and then you want to pick it up and go, oh no, why did I do this? But anyway, like I was saying, is to just place on a big lot on your brush, put it on there, and then move it around rather than just painting individual stripes on it with it. So don't forget about your rocks as well, going all over them just as hard. And you can see there, I have a big lot on my brush, I place it down, and then I more move it around rather than just getting little bits and painting it on in spots. And then now you can see that Greywind is basically all done, and I'm just going to go in, like I said here, with my matte black, and I'm going to paint the base just plain black for now. You may have a cool idea for how you want to base this up. I'm not 100% sure yet, and I think I'm going to be saving it for a video I'm going to do on basings once I come to a decision on how I want this base to be. But now that that's all done, we're going to come back with our original Castle Grey here, and we're just going to be going over it again in the other places we did the Castle Grey with our dry brush. So again, with our paper towel, placing our paint on, moving it around, getting as much of that paint off as we can, and just leaving the bristles of the brush sort of tinted, and going over top of the dark spots of Greywind's fur to catch all those details it has on the top, looking really good. It may be a little bit hard to see on camera, but it looks great. And with all that dry brushing done, we are now completely finished with our Greywind miniature. Looking great here as we've completely painted it all up. It wasn't too hard a paint job to do, and it's really effective. So with that, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I hope you're going to enjoy this series over the Game of Thrones season, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.